Let's watch this. The Tyre Nichols story is a sad one, but unfortunately an all too common one. The uncommon part about it is that all 5 officers that were a part of Tyre Nichols' brutal murder, were subsequently fired and now are charged with murder and kidnapping. That is the uncommon part of this all too common story. I have not seen the video, but I assume it has to be devastating for Memphis, to the Memphis Police Department to act so quickly. News Channel 5 has obtained a letter sent by the Tennessee Sheriff's Association to the National Sheriff's Association notifying law enforcement agencies that videos relating to the arrest of Tyre Nichols will be made public on Friday. Cities are gearing up for riots, as a matter of fact, because of how fucking awful this story is.
This is a CBS News special report. I'm Nora O'Donnell. We are coming on the air as the city of Memphis and the country is on edge after the violent arrest that led to the death of 29-year-old Tyre Nichols. Just today, the 5 now former Memphis officers involved were charged with second-degree murder, kidnapping, and other charges.
We're grateful to the family of Tyre Nichols for their patience as we expedited both the investigation and the consideration of charges in this case, as well as the understanding on the part of the family that premature release of the video could compromise both.
The video has to be so fucking damning, which is not surprising because many videos are damning. Most police interactions that end up with the death of a suspect, of a victim, is usually very damning. But this one has to be additionally worse, partially because they used bludgeoning objects and tasers and shit, less than lethal weapons, rather than just like immediately mag dumping into him. So much so that, and apparently it's an hour long, which I don't even know what the fuck they did, and I don't even want to think about it, that they immediately fired these guys. It's 5 black cops in Memphis stopping Tyre Nichols on a regular traffic violation and brutalizing him so much that he dies 3 days later. He's hospitalized and he dies 3 days later in the hospital. He was beaten to death. Family said that the family that has seen the footage said that it was worse than Emmett Till, as he was calling for his mother, asking what did he do. Yeah, supposedly they beat him like a piñata, according to the family. And the video will be coming out, of course, at the end of the news week on Friday night. They say that he was left unrecognizable in the aftermath of this. None of us have seen the video yet, but if there's one thing I know in all of my years of covering police brutality, covering the news in the United States of America, it's that cops rarely ever see accountability. Derek Chauvin was a unique case specifically because of the accountability, right? Broad daylight execution and the subsequent legal accountability that came. Cops usually just go on paid administrative leave, desk duty, yada yada. When murder is seen as a part of their job, the entire system is designed to protect them. When they do engage in escalation, and they do it often, they do it frequently, you rarely ever see cops. I've never seen cops get fired this fast. Never. In the past decade of covering news, police brutality, I've never seen cops ever get fired. All 5 of the cops involved get fired before the body camera footage is released. A week before they release the body camera footage, they don't even hold up the body camera footage. Usually they, the routine process, the modus operandi here is never releasing the body camera footage, never even showing it to the family, claiming that it's gone, claiming that it's lost in the sauce. It's like we're in fucking bizarro world. Like they're showing the officers as the perps. They're perp walking the officers, and they're showing footage of the victim of the police brutality, like skateboarding and shit, talking about him as actually a victim. It is so sad that this is what is supposed to happen, okay? In a just world, in a normal world, in a world where, there is real justice. This is how it's supposed to happen. The fact that they're showing the cops out of uniform with their mugshots, I don't know if it's because they're black, okay? Because I'm sure that plays a role into it. Like, it has to. Even though being black does not make you a better cop, you are still a police officer. A fact that I mention so regularly. I hope people understand this when I say this. But it is wild that they're not showing them in police garb. Like, this is the system giving them up. The system that normally, the police unions that would normally, the sheriff's associations, the police unions that would normally defend these people down to the fucking core because their actions are seen as justifiable and expected by the police, which has the monopoly of violence, which exercises the state's monopoly of violence in every interaction, immediately dropped them.
Here are the charges. Second-degree murder.
I've never seen
aggravated
this.
assault, aggravated kidnapping resulting in bodily injury, aggravated kidnapping involving the possession of a weapon, official misconduct through unauthorized exercise of power, official misconduct through failure to act when there is a duty imposed by law.
Oh, there was more. Oh, I forgot. The other part of it is like the DOJ and FBI literally immediately opened up a civil rights investigation, which does happen. Okay, the DOJ does do this, and they do find like rampant racism every single time, surprisingly, in every single department that they've ever investigated, from Baltimore to Ferguson, right? And of course, no changes come from that, clearly, obviously. And our legislators refuse to do anything about it, obviously. So we shall see what happens in the aftermath of this. But if you think that the Democrats are going to wisen up and use police brutality as a political motivator, you're out of your fucking mind, especially as they spent the past goddamn year capitulating to psychotic right-wing media, claiming every fucking day that the police were defunded, that every fucking day that police were actually not doing their jobs because they just didn't have enough money, that not even that, but they weren't doing their jobs because they felt bad, that they were being bullied by the citizenry that funds them. Okay. And, just get ready, get excited for the prospect of that. Get excited for the prospect of the Democrats saying, oh, yeah, we do care about police reform. It can't wait, which was bullshit to begin with. Yeah, look, they're literally out here begging, doing everything they can to stop a rebellion. This comes just a day before the video of even the cop described heinous, reckless, inhumane failing of basic humanity murder of Tyre Nichols by 5 Memphis cops. Dude, if you're this afraid of fucking people burning cities down, perhaps you should make systemic change. Perhaps you should implement accountability. This kind of fucking bullshit, like after being afraid of the human reaction to such senseless systemic violence, is not going to keep moving the needle. What the fuck are we doing? I'm sorry, but this is absolutely fucking bananas, dude. What do you expect? More, dude. 2022 was a particularly brutal year for police, okay? Particularly brutal. Over 1,000 confirmed kills on the job. What the fuck are they doing? Their funds have only increased in that process as they constantly claimed that defunding was happening. The crime narrative was made permanent by all the way from local news to national news. It became a fixture in the Democratic Party's platform of like also funding the police more, as they raced, both parties raced to be like, no, we love the cops more. We will hug and kiss them. It's insane. I feel like people who are surprised that the cops are who did this are black are about to learn a part of the talk that my parents are always emphasize. The race of a cop is cop. Never be under the illusion that a black cop is less likely to brutalize you or kill you. My interaction with black cops have always been as potentially fraught as my interaction with white ones. At no point does help a brother outwork, because if they really were trying to help me, they wouldn't have stopped me in the first place. People noticing how quickly these black cops were charged as opposed to their murderous white fellows in other situations should also pay attention to how silent the police union has been on their behalf. This Memphis video of the lynching of Tyre Nichols must be awful. Basically, everybody who's seen it is like, please don't riot when you see this, like you probably should. I've never seen a reaction like that. I think it's bad. I don't know what else to say. I mean, they literally are doing PR ahead of this. Gotta take 5. Just for Tyre Nichols, Justice Tyre, Memphis Police Chief C.J. Davis addressing the heinous beating of Tyre Nichols. This is not just a professional failing. This is a failing of basic humanity towards another individual. The incident was heinous, reckless, and inhumane.
Not just a professional failing. This is a failing of basic humanity toward another individual. This incident was heinous, reckless, and inhumane. And in the vein of transparency, when the video is released in the coming days, you will see this for yourselves. I expect you to feel.
They're pulling a "we're in this with you." Like, oh man, I'm so shocked that this happened. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if this reaction is because like the video is particularly egregious, heinous, awful, or if it's because like it's now become this like weird cycle of expected reaction, oftentimes like property damage. That happens as a consequence of like police inaction, systemic inaction in the form of accountability in the face of police escalation of violence and murders. I don't know. I just maybe all of the above, but the video is coming out tomorrow.
I expect you to feel outrage in the disregard of basic human rights.
Holy fuck. Is that Don Lemon out in Memphis? Oh, Jesus. Okay. Everyone is gearing up for major activity. CNN does not fucking send out Don Lemon to the fucking scene unless they think some shit is about to fucking pop off for the next week.
There are, for some of the charges, some base different charges, or the same charges but different counts or more counts than others. Can you explain that to us? Why is that? Okay, well, let's go over the charges here. I want to ask you about them, and you can respond whatever you can respond.
Okay.
Second-degree murder, aggravated assault, 2 charges of aggravated kidnapping. What is that? That seems unusual. Aggravated kidnapping?
Yeah, and I will go over this if there's a question about it at the press conference, but I don't mind telling you right now that aggravated kidnapping is a general matter, is any time that you unlawfully restrain someone's liberty or confine...
The moment that they're saying that the moment that they fucking stopped this guy, they were no longer operating as cops, and therefore doing like normal cop shit is all of a sudden considered aggravated kidnapping. You have to understand that like technically what cops are doing is kidnapping every single time. They're just fucking doing it with legal jurisdiction. So like because they decided after the fact that they were no longer operating as cops, they're slapping him with murder charges and kidnapping charges as well. That's it. Just understand that though. Like every single time a cop murders someone, it's still fucking murder, okay? Murder in the first degree, okay? It's just that because they're cops, the law allows them to do that. That's the whole point here. Not how the law works, ... Brother, I'm not even talking about the law. When you fucking shoot someone with a gun, you still killed them, okay? You still fucking killed them. If you shoot someone you shoot someone in the back, you magged up someone that is running away from you, if you're not a cop, in most circumstances, you're going to jail. Even if they literally came into your house and then they ran out of your house and you shot them, and there are cases of this even in fucking places like Texas where castle doctrine is supposed to be the law of the land, you can still and very much will go to fucking jail. The only people that don't actually go to jail when they do that is cops, because they have a Supreme Court protected, constitutionally protected, Supreme Court interpreted legal, like extra legal set of rules that apply to them. Yeah, the aggravated upsell for having a weapon while arresting literally means that they got uncopped in that circumstance, which is interesting to think about because, oh, the chatter said now the law works. Oh, my bad. I misread it. Sorry. What do you mean they stopped being cops when they stopped them? Yeah, they just uncopped them, even though they were doing cop shit, okay? What they did in this circumstance is what cops do all the fucking time. Like, as much as I love shitting on, sovereign citizens and like all these fucking people, okay? They're technically correct when they say, are you detaining me for no reason, okay? When a cop stops you, they should have good fucking reason to stop you because you're actively in the process of like violating some serious fucking laws. And God forbid you get uncopped after the fact for some of your actions. This is what is supposed to happen. This is what's supposed to happen. This is the normal thing that's supposed to happen. In a country where we have like actual rules, this is what's supposed to happen. You're supposed to go to jail for behaving like this and doing this kind of shit. It's wild that it does not happen more frequently. Why the fuck are they hyping up the video so much? It's kind of weird. The entire situation is weird. It's weird because justice is rarely ever swift in the case of police brutality, which is precisely the reason why people are like genuinely worried about what might happen. The closest analog to like a white cop that I can think of, and obviously I don't have everything in the back of my mind and encyclopedia knowledge on police brutality, but it's Derek Chauvin. And even then there was like significantly more pushback and defenses early on. Like the police department did not immediately fire Derek Chauvin and charge him with murder. If you recall, they actually tried to hide all the footage as best as they could, but there were too many onlookers. There were literally like 40 different camera angles of this murder in broad daylight. I understand what you say about cops, but why do you always generalize them? The same way someone can have a preconception of a race or anything in their life that also applies to cops? No, man. I mean, I joke around about how like there is such a thing as cop phrenology and that you are ACAB, which means you're assigned cop at birth and whatever, but like that's not the case. This is a job, okay? When I'm criticizing police, I'm criticizing a job. I'm criticizing the concepts, what they are supposed to do versus what they actually are intended to do and what they are theoretically not doing. You weren't born a cop. We need to stop the bad discourse, even if it's one single person, which it obviously isn't, but the generalized 800K is still a preconception. By the way, chat, don't be mad at me by a text on the internet. I'm going to be as charitable and as nice as possible, okay? to you, chatter, and try to explain something to you that I hope you will understand. When people say ACAB, all cops are bastards, all cops are bad, all cops are bad, whatever, they're not talking about human beings that are otherwise nice people, potentially. Maybe they are. Some of them probably are. Some of them even probably started the profession under false pretenses, okay? But cops as a profession, police as a profession, protect and serve the interests of capital. And in that process, there are plenty of unjustifiable laws that you would have a moral issue with, okay, personally, on an individual basis, that they uphold in the violent ways that they uphold them. So while they are in the process of being a cop, while they're doing cop shit, when they have the badge on, they are behaving in a bad way. By design, their job requires them, urges them to behave in a violent manner. So even if you're an otherwise good person, when you're a cop, when you have the badge on, you are doing shit that cops do and upholding unjustifiable laws. There are so many examples of this, like cops going up and like arresting an old lady who is feeding homeless people. Like no one would ever consider that to be a normal or a good thing, but cops are doing that because it's a part of their fucking job. That's what that means, okay? I'm not generalizing every single person that chooses to wear the badge or whatever. I don't know how they are in their personal life, even though, you know, look up the self-reported numbers of domestic violence and police. The last time a study was ever allowed to be conducted in the police force, and you will find out that 40% of cops are beating their partners, which is, again, a self-reported study from the 90s, the last time they were allowed to be studied. But ultimately, it's still absolutely, the things that I just mentioned are still absolutely present and are at the heart of why there are these issues that keep happening over and over again. These cops are a part of, as far as I understand, a Scorpion unit, they call it. Memphis Police Department created a Scorpion unit, and here's a man talking about his experience with them, where he complained about the Scorpion unit, which is created to deal with street crime. You know how these fucking units work. It's like the gun violence task force in Baltimore. For those of you who are unfamiliar with that, there is a wonderful recreation that's basically of a documentary on HBO called We Run the City. A lot of times these special units are like aggressive, extra violent. Yes, and often are, you know, behaving in even additionally brutal ways, and they're very corrupt. But yeah, the video is the movie, or not the movie, but like the short series on HBO is called We Run the City. I think it's probably the best piece of anti-police agitprop I've ever watched. It's made by the same guy that made The Wire, David Simon. We own the city, not we run the city. Sorry. Anyway, here, let's hear what this man's.
Neil McKinney says the same Scorpion unit stopped him January 3rd, 4 days before Nichols was pulled over.
I actually read it on the back of their vest. It said MPD Scorpion unit. All I heard is freeze, get out the car. Put your MF hands up before I blow your heads off. Both of you, get out the car. So put your hands up. So I put my hands up, and one of the officers proceeded to come to the car, and he physically pulled me out by my shoulder with a gun no more than a foot away from my head.
He says the officers in unmarked cars would never say why they had been stopped. Then he saw the picture of the 5 officers fired in the Tyre Nichols case.
I was like, that's them. I said, that's crazy, that's them. I said, now they done really hurt somebody. This could have been prevented if the Internal Affairs took action like I was asking them to do.
So strange that when cops investigate cops, they don't even fucking do it, actually. They don't really end up investigating them at all. Or if they're pushed to that investigation, to the brink, and finally have to investigate, they often find no evidence that they are behaving in a manner that's inconsistent with policing, because police are expected by the systems to behave that way. That's their job. Your normal world, still having cops is your worst take. Yes, I am not an anarchist. I am not an anarchist. I believe that, yes, some form of policing is a necessity for society to function. While I understand that most crime can be solved by solving material inequalities, there are still plenty of instances where there needs to be a group of democratically organized people, if you want to do it like an anarchist commune style situation, democratically organized people upholding democratically voted on laws that everyone finds justifiable, that also solve crimes and detain people. There's always going to be a need for detainment. The issue that I have with police is that they work at the behest of capital. Black cops are white supremacists? Lol. Yeah, dude. Yes. Black cops can also, and oftentimes do, behave in a manner that is consistent with white supremacy. Candace Owens is black. She's a political commentator, and she is a white supremacist. Black people can also do white supremacy and do it. Do it very well, as a matter of fact. That all matter of governance is going to be inherently authoritarian, and I have no problem with that. Like, I don't. I think that I believe in order to a certain degree. I believe that there are going to be people that want to violate the norms that will allow for society to flourish. Okay, people that take advantage of it. Why the fuck do you think I still have an oppressive iron thumb that I rule over this chat with? I try to make this as democratic as possible. This is such a microcosm of like social formations, and it's so stupid because the stakes are much lower. So I'm not making an exact analogy here, but like I want this to be as democratic as possible, right? I want everyone to just talk as much as they want to, but I still discipline motherfuckers because people take advantage of that. There's always going to be people who have antisocial personality disorders, which we cannot currently medicate or have no understanding of how to fucking medicate and rehabilitate adequately. Like there's still going to be people that take advantage of your good nature, but that does not destroy the need for some group of people that you agree with that is democratically assigned to do the enforcement. No, I don't think they'd be charged as quickly if they were white. Okay, I don't believe that, but I don't know. I said it already. I've never seen cops get charged this fucking swiftly, okay? I've never seen cops get fired this swiftly. I've never seen cops get charged with murder this swiftly, even before the fucking footage comes out. It only took a month for the cops to release the footage. Like, it's bananas. I've never seen a cop get fired before the video comes out. Genuinely good DA? No. See, the thing is with Memphis, like this police department is, I need to see how bad it is, okay, for me to make an assessment. I'm sorry. I can't make an assessment without seeing the footage because like there are a bunch of other underlying factors at play here. Memphis police being like more liberal as an institution than other police, which still is fucking awful and brutal as we saw, but because they're still cops. But like, is that a level of accountability that created this immediate response? The DA is like a reformist DA. Is that a level of accountability that this situation created, and that's why this was swift? That's what, no such thing as a good DA. No, there is such a thing as a good DA. Okay, please stop. Yes, there are. Yes, there are. There are people who are unironically in the interest of like policing the police. Okay. Kamala Harris was not a good DA, but there are district attorneys who are reformists who definitely want to prosecute police, who also do end up prosecuting some police, and then they get they destroyed over it. Okay. Larry Krasner is a good example of this. I wouldn't say George Gascon is a good example of this, and I don't know about Chesa Boudin enough, but you know, ultimately, yes, you have severe limitations of the DA, requires you to be an awful, soulless motherfucker, but at least you can use a fraction of your power on policing the police, okay? So anyone that does is good enough in my book, is a good starting point.